Mastering the golf swing might be one of the hardest things in sports. Unfortunately, watching people on television doesn't show the true skill golf takes. There are so many parts that go into every single shot. Today I will go over all the things you must master to become a decent golfer. These are the things a professional golfer must go through every single shot. They range from the type of lie you get, to the weather you have to deal with, and the swing itself. Perhaps one of the most under-recognized parts of the golf shot is the lie. The lie can transform a relatively straightforward shot into a nightmare. These are small things professional golfer Phil Mickelson recognizes when he's assessing his lie. One of the first things he takes into consideration is if he has a wet lie. If even just a little bit of water gets on your club, it can actually increase the friction between the ball and the club, in turn increasing the spin, causing your shot to go shorter. Another thing he explains is how the length of the grass can affect the shot. For example, the first cut of grass outside of the fairway will usually make it end up 6 to 8 yards dead. Another crazy specific situation he brings up is the grain of the grass. If the grain is going against you, it will usually launch lower off the club face, exit lower, and have a lot more spin. However, if you are going with the grain, the club will slide easier through the ground and you will gain a few extra yards. The last thing he mentions about your lie is one specific type of grass you might encounter called zoysia grass, which you can find commonly around Kansas. It has similar effects to a tee, causing your shots to go about 5 yards further, because it lowers the center of mass, causing you to hit it higher with less spin. Another thing I'd like to take into consideration that Phil did not mention is where your feet are relative to the ball. When your feet are below the ball, it is more common that you pull the ball towards yourself, curling it towards yourself. And vice versa, when it's above your feet, it will usually slice away from you. Just as important as the lie, the current weather conditions play a large part in every shot. The temperature change from morning to later in the day can make a huge difference. If you start a tournament in the morning, by the afternoon, you'll hit that exact same shot 5 yards further. Another important thing to keep in mind is the wind. It's important for a pro to know the amount of wind they're playing in. A simple 100-yard shot played in the same conditions but in opposite directions can look very different. Say we're playing in about 20 mile per hour wind. While playing into the wind, they say you should deduct 1% for every mile per hour. So while playing the shot into the wind, your original 100-yard shot would only go 80 yards. But when playing with the wind, you only add 0.5% for every mile per hour, making the original shot now go 110 yards. Now that might not seem like in extreme conditions, but at several courses on the PGA Tour, it is not uncommon to face a constant breeze of 15 to 12 miles per hour. The last big factor playing into people's game is their swing. The golf swing is very deceiving. In a video, it may not look that hard, but it is one of the hardest things to master. So hard that even professionals have a difficult time repeating shots. They have to control the ball in ways that look unreal, from spinning the ball backwards 10 feet after it hits the green to slicing the ball 30 yards around a tree. I'm not here to tell you that golf is more strenuous than any of the other sports, but the mastery of the golf shot is by far one of the most technical things to master. Every single part I talked about comes into play for every single shot, and hitting one perfect shot is crazy enough. But what makes it crazier is pros will hit hundreds of perfect shots over several days. Being able to take into consideration every factor that comes into play during a swing makes it one of the hardest sports.